The first thing that I started to make was my skirt, and I made this by using 2 full circle skirts that were half of my waist measurement, sewing them together, and then adding horsehair to the hem. This was a pain in the ass. It took a lot of time and concentration and a shit ton of horsehair braid. Next up, I used McCall's Costumes M7339, the corset pattern by Yaya Han, to start my corset for Ashe's top. I started out by making a base layer from canvas. Typically, you would use cotil. Regardless, you want to use a nice, sturdy material that won't stretch or lose its shape over time. I used plastic boning simply because it was what I had access to. If I were to go back and redo this, I would use spiral steel boning, but you know, you have to make do. Once I inserted all of my boning channels, I took my outer fabric, which was a nice red satin, and I started making the outer layer from it. Then I hand sewed it to the base layer. Once I was totally happy with the way my corset was turning out, I decided to start working on the gold detailing. This was incredibly simple. I used 1mm EVA foam, cut out the shape that I liked, and then I took a nice 4-way stretch gold lycra, some contact cement, and glued it to cover that 1mm EVA foam. The result is this really, really nice, smooth gold detail. It's just really, really pretty to look at. I got a lot of compliments on it and a lot of people asking me how I did it. So yeah, there you go. I began working on the weird jacket thing. I started out by using a butterick pattern, B6114, the sort of weird underbust piratey thing. I made a mock-up using just some white cotton, marked any changes or alterations that I needed to make, and made like 3 more mock-ups just to make sure. Once I was completely satisfied with my mock-up, I transferred this over to my nice purple fabric. Once again, this was a satin. To avoid any shininess, I made sure to use the back side of that purple satin. For all of the gold detailings along the border, I used heat and bond, as well as that 4-way stretch gold lycra. The stretch wasn't totally necessary, I just really liked the way this fabric looked, almost like a liquid gold, and the smooth shine was just really, really pleasing to the eye. I traced along all of the borders, ironed the heat and bond onto my gold lycra, and then ironed the lycra onto my fabric, followed by lots of top stitching. Oh my god, so much top stitching. My sleeves were separated into 2 pieces. The bottom part, which extends to my wrist, was made from a purple lycra, while the top part, the red and gold, was made from red satin and once again that 4-way gold stretch lycra. Once I finished that up, I was pretty much done with the jacket, so I moved on to the cape. This was really, really simple. I just made something that was about as long and as wide as I needed it to be, and cut it out of my purple fabric. I once again traced the edges and all of the details onto heat and bond, ironed that heat and bond onto the gold lycra, cut it out, ironed it onto the purple fabric, and then top stitched. I will say, however, this technique takes up a lot of fabric. You'll have a lot of really, really weird shaped scraps. So just do keep that in mind. Make sure you buy a lot more than what you think you'll need. My cape was a little bit too big to use on my tiny makeshift ironing board, so there were parts where I kind of took it to the ground and used like a big piece of cardboard to iron on, just to help keep everything flat. Keeping it curled up or like trying to fit it on my ironing board would have resulted in creasing or like things shifting over time, and I just, you know, I wanted everything to be precise and nice and exactly where I wanted it. Once everything was top stitched, it was all lined, and then I added it onto my jacket using hook and eye closures. Woo! And also there's my bow. My little headpiece, heart and details on my wrist, and the heart necklace were all made from little foam guides that I picked up from AC Moore around Valentine's Day. I was incredibly fortunate to stumble upon these guys while they were on sale, and I pretty much just bought 2 of each and used one for the base and the other one for the details. It's really simple. Covered it with some plasti dip and then I started painting. I didn't record the whole painting or really the making process for the bow. I'll have an entire blog post with a step-by-step guide as well as clickable links to materials and places you can get everything in the description box below. This costume was a lot of fun to make and a lot of fun to wear. It was super duper comfortable and I just felt like absolutely gorgeous. It's really far out of my comfort zone from the characters that I usually do, but it was a lot of fun to challenge myself and try something new.